What's up guys, Chad here with Greenlight Shooting, and welcome to this little update video. So a little while ago I released a video comparing this here, which is the Condition 1 case, to a Pelican case. So if you haven't seen that, make sure to check that out. In that video, my biggest concerns with the Condition 1 case was pretty much just the foam. There was 3 layers of foam, and it was pretty weak foam, so it would kind of crush pretty easily. It wouldn't really hold its shape, and you had to lift it out in trays to get to what you want at the bottom. Well, you couldn't lift it out in trays, right? You had to lift everything out of the foam and then lift the foam out to get to what was underneath it. So Condition 1 sent me out some more foam and said try stacking your guns vertically rather than horizontally. That way you have access to everything on the top layer, and it's given the foam a lot more like rigidity because you're using like the depth of it, right? Instead of like, anyways, I'm gonna throw you guys up on this tripod. I'm gonna throw the case up here. We're gonna try and reorganize it, throw the guns in there vertically, and see what it looks like. So this is placed all the way down to the base of the case, and it's clearly not low enough. So, I mean, I guess I should have known that. Well, let's try the M&P here. All right, so let's get rid of this. That is a 4 1/4 inch gun down as far as it'll go. Let's see if it'll close. Closes okay. There's definitely a little bit of play in there. A lot of play in there. Let's put the next gun up here. I'm gonna try and leave like 3 squares, I think, between each gun to provide enough rigidity back and forth. Now, I don't know if you can see this or not, but on the top layer of foam, I've got the entire like length of the gun and the grip there. On the next layer, I've got enough for like the slide and the trigger guard. And then on the bottom layer, I've just got enough for the slide there. I only take out 1 width of square rather than 2. I'm gonna see if it'll fit. See how it's like not seated in places? And it's like, when you try and rip it, because it's not cut all the way down through, it rips other parts, and it ruins the integrity of the foam that's currently there. Man, I just ripped that again, that sucks. Okay, so I just did the top again for room for the slide and the trigger guard. Again, I ripped this and I ripped this, which sucks. Okay, let's see how this fits with just 1 square. So, block. Okay. I think I prefer that fit a lot more. There's a lot less play as opposed to the 2 width. Yeah, definitely go 1. All right, I think I got all this figured out, but with all this extra foam that's broken, I'm gonna try and tape some of it back together before showing you the final product. All right, it's not pretty, but it does work. So, all right, so here's what we're working with. So we can fit 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 guns in here. I've got a spot for 2 flashlights and an extra kind of magazine slot. All right, so we've got a Smith & Wesson M&P. This is the 4 1/4 inch Pro series. So that'll fit right in there. Next up, we have a Glock 19. That fits in there. Next up, I've got a Springfield XDS and 45 with the extended mag on there. Then we've got the Ruger SR22. And then we've got the Sig Sauer P238 with the extended mag. Now on the bottom here, I found a way to get the Remington 1911 in there. I just kind of put it at an angle rather than straight up and down. So put that handle in first all the way down, and then just kind of lean it forward. Then I've got my two Olight flashlights here. So this one just sits right in there. Make sure I didn't turn the light on. And then the smaller little mini fits right there. And then since we cut this one out to begin with, I just threw some magazines in there so it'll do something. So we've got a 1911 mag, we've got an M&P mag, we've got a Glock mag, and the XDS mag. All right, so we have the mags, the M&P, the Glock, XDS, Ruger, SIG, Remington, 2 lights, extra mags, and check it out, does it shut? Boom. So let's talk about this Condition 1 case. First of all, on the pros side of things, on the things that we changed, putting your gun vertically is night and day better than horizontally. The other thing we learned is I think leaving those like 3 strips of foam between each gun really helped it to keep its shape. If it was only like 1 or even maybe 2, I think you get a little bit of play in there. Along that same vein, I pushed the guns all the way to the top. So with the foam, there is an outer border of foam that goes against the case, and then there's the perforated squares. I went all the way to that border, and because of that, the border comes off of, the border's only attached like every 3 squares. And so where I was ripping every 3rd square, every 4th square, I was ripping the entire border off of the perforated section. Obviously that was a pain, which is why I had to duct tape it back together. So I would leave at least 1 perforated square of border around whatever it is you're putting in the case. The last thing I learned is at the first how we had 2 square widths per handgun. Definitely keep it at 1 square width. So those things really did address a lot of my issues that I had with the case initially. The biggest thing was just it losing its shape, and that fixed it. I guess another thing to point out is with everything put vertically, I can now have access to everything as soon as the case is open, rather than having to remove everything and remove trays. That being said, if I had any cons still, it's just the foam itself. The density is, it's just not dense. It doesn't hold its shape super well to begin with. If you can go with the denser foam Condition 1, I would recommend it. The other thing, and this is the big one, is the perforated squares are not perforated enough. They're a pain to actually take apart. Like, not only are they a pain, but it's frustrating because especially when you get up to the edges and you're trying to make a fine line or whatever, you know, 1 width, you end up tearing other squares and they end up coming off of the border and you have this sloppy looking, now normally I would say that it was user error, but I didn't have any of those issues when doing the same thing with my Pelican 1510. You know, those perforations were much, much easier. In fact, every other case I've ever had, tearing those perforations were a million times easier than this one. This was the biggest frustration. Once everything was done, it was fine, you know, it works great. It's just, if I'm going to amend my past review, I would say that it is much, much better to go vertically. I think it works. In regards to comparing it directly to Pelican, I think the Condition 1 case, the outer case, is still superior. Inside, it's a no-brainer. I'd go with the Pelican's foam all day long, as well as the ability to remove that top portion from the Pelican and put you know, zipper pouches and stuff against the lid. How do they stack up against each other? Well, Condition 1 definitely wins in the outer case category. Pelican wins on the interior, the foam, the customization, and Pelican wins on a far superior price point. Unfortunately, I think Condition 1 is going to struggle to compete with Pelican until they can either get their price point down or get their foam situation figured out. If they can get both of these, or at least one or the other, they're going to be very, very competitive. Right now, I think at a 210 price point for the Condition 1 versus like 150 for the Pelican, it's just, it's not in the same ballpark. Pelicans, the minor issues such as the wheels and stuff like that are easily overlookable for $60. That's all I've got for you guys today. Don't get me wrong, I think the Condition 1 case is a great case. It's superior to probably everything out there except Pelican. So, you know, keep that in mind. Dealing with the marketing manager, he seemed like a good guy. The company seems like they care, that they listen to the feedback, which is why I'm being brutally honest in this video. It's not to be mean, but it's to hopefully help them to improve their product. So anyways, thanks so much for watching. I hope you found this insightful and useful and fun to watch. If so, hit that thumbs up button, leave a comment down below. Let me know your thoughts on different cases, and we'll see you next time on Greenlight Shooting.